Hello, and welcome to Melomaniax, podcast where we take unbiased deep dives into the biggest musicians and bands of all time. I'm Ashton.
And I'm Dallas. Before we get started, do you want more weird music history, bonus episodes, and a backstage pass to the show? Hit up our Patreon at patreon.com/melomaniacs with an X. For $5 a month, you'll get bonus episodes, early drops, access to our new Discord community, and a whole lot more. It's going to help us keep these deep dives coming, so join the crew today. Now, let's get into it.
Yo,
Who's
so
up today?
today, some Posty Malone.
Postpone student loan.
I forgot about that. For anybody who doesn't know, what was it, like a whole list of just like, was it just musicians or was it rappers?
Rappers usually have the dumbest
R&B?
names, so it was mostly rappers, yeah.
Okay, but I think it was like everybody, but
50th Century Fox.
50th Century. It just
There's a
expands
whole bunch of
people's
funny
names.
ones,
Yeah, we'll have to find that list again. You'll have to send that to me. But anyways, buckle up, guys. We are doing a big one. Post is pretty. He's pretty big. I'd say he's one of the top artists currently, or over the span, and we'll definitely see that as we go through everything here. So he does just about everything. He raps, he sings, plays guitar. As you put that so elegantly in our script, he basically your tattooed cousin who went to Coachella once and never came back, and that basically is
He's still there.
Yeah, he never left it. He's like the one dude. There's like two people in the mud field, and he's just dancing all by himself. That's like
He's
Post
like
Malone.
Mr. Coachella, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that ended up turning into a multi-platinum award-winning artist. So let's jump into that, man.
Yeah, so he isn't just a chart topper, he's a cultural phenomenon. He's, just add this to the resume, he's made it okay to drink Bud Light at the Grammys, cry to auto-tune. His impact is huge. His story is just as wild, from SoundCloud to Super Bowl commercials, from sleeping in a closet to headlining world tours. Today we're going deep into the rise, reign, and raw talent of Posty Malone. Let's get started.
So let's obviously, I don't think his parents named him Post Malone. So Austin Richard Post was born July 4th, 1995 in Syracuse, New York. That's right, America's sweetheart, literally born on Independence Day. Fireworks were for him that year, not for the independence, I believe, marking his. Nicole was born in 95. 95 is just a great year, now that I think about it. But his dad was a DJ in his youth, and he later became the concessions manager for the Dallas Cowboys, which meant Lil Austin got an early education of both music and football stadium nachos.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that, obviously he's a huge Cowboys fan because of this.
Yeah, I bet. So when the family moved to Grapevine, Texas, Posty got deep into guitar thanks to Guitar Hero, didn't we all? Yeah,
Yep.
That game turned more kids into rockers than actual music classes. He started experimenting with music in high school, even auditioning for the metalcore band Crown the Empire. It's a pretty big band. Fun fact, he was rejected because his guitar strings broke during the audition, and that's either bad luck or the universe saying, hey, try hip-hop instead.
Yeah, I guess it ended up working out for him.
I think he did all right.
You got into guitar just before Guitar Hero, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Because I got into guitar the summer between 7th and 8th grade, I think, is when I really started. And I remember 8th grade was it was like months before Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was like just before you already had your guitar kick, and then Guitar Hero came out, which just kind of like furthered that, I'm sure. But
if you look back, Guitar Hero, and we talked about this in our Guitar Hero episode, but Guitar Hero 1, nobody really played.
yeah,
And Guitar Hero 2, a lot more people started, and then Guitar Hero 3 was the explosion. So that was when literally everyone was doing it, and that's when Rock Band started, and everyone started trying to copy it and all that stuff. But Guitar Hero 1, at the time, I remember asking everyone, like, are you guys playing this game? This game's awesome. And no one was playing it. And no one even had it. But Guitar Hero 2 was a lot more popular, and then 3 obviously was where it exploded. But yeah, you can go check out our full episode on that. I'll give you the number here. It was episode early on. Episode 6. Yeah, go back and
No
listen to episode
way.
6 of Melomaniax.
I didn't think it was that early. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would have thought like 15 or something.
Yeah, I think I was one of those people that I didn't get it until the second one, and then my dad went back and
Yep.
bought the collection of everyone that ever came
Yep.
out.
Yep.
But anyways, back to old Posty. Influenced by everybody from Bob Dylan to 50 Cent, Nirvana to Kanye West, Post was just a musical sponge. By the time he dropped out of community college, he knew music was the path. He moved to LA with his friend Jason Probst, slept in his closet, slept on couches, eventually made the track that would change his life, White Iverson.
So White Iverson hit SoundCloud in February 2015, and by July it had already had millions of plays. Major labels came knocking. Republic Records signed him that August. Suddenly, the kid with braids and a gold grill was on a rocket ship to stardom. So Post put his rapper name together by taking his last name and using a random rapper name generator, and it gave him Malone. I love that.
Yeah, I remember hearing some of those creations the random generator can come up with. So
Oh
good.
yeah, they're great.
So good. I recently just was watching an interview with Post talking about how people didn't even want him to release the song, and then he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it anyways, released it. And then he was talking about like that classic moment of like every time he refreshed, there's just hundreds of thousands of more views and thousands you know what I mean? Like every time you refresh it. So it's like one of those moments for him, just watching like stardom happen. So this ended up leading into Post Malone's debut album, Stoney, which dropped on December 9th, 2016, after months of buzz from White Iverson, blowing up and making him, famous on the internet. And the album actually debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200, but climbed up to the peak of number 4. So it actually had a little growth there. It sold over 3 million copies in the US and stayed on the Billboard 200 for a record-breaking 77 weeks, which longer than any other debut hip-hop album at the time. And it had 4 singles. White Iverson was the breakout hit, which peaked at 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. I'm super shocked that song didn't hit number 1 or closer. Go Flex was a cult favorite, but still reached number 76. Congratulations featuring Quavo was a big one. That one hit number 8. That song actually went diamond. I think that might be one of the first songs I heard by him was Congratulations. I think that is the first Post Malone song I heard by him. Weird enough, I heard that before White Iverson. And then the 4th single, I Fall Apart, wasn't released as a single originally, but fans really enjoyed it, and it hit number 16 after he had a viral live performance of the song.
Not bad. So critics were lukewarm, but fans obviously went wild. And honestly, this album aged like a fine rosé in a solo cup, which is Posty's vibe. He would actually end up opening for Justin Bieber's World Tour during 2016 and 17, and his album would end up breaking Michael Jackson's 34-year-old Billboard record for most weeks spent at the top of the R&B hip-hop album charts at 78 weeks. Thriller only lasting 77. That's pretty crazy record to break there.
Right? What great company to be in. So Post wanted to hit the iron while it was hot and immediately announced his next album at the start of 2017, but it wouldn't be released until 2018 because that's kind of how things go sometimes. Beer Bongs and Bentleys was the album name. Came out April 27, 2018, and this one debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, so he definitely was striking while it was hot. It was streamed over 78 million times in the US on the first day, and it eventually went 5 times platinum, which is super impressive for the nowadays. It's so hard to find platinum albums now just because of the streaming, but it's... So the singles from this album, he had 5. Rockstar, featuring 21 Savage, was Posty's first number 1 on the Billboard 100. So congrats to him. And then we had Psycho with Ty Dolla $ign, which also hit number 1. So we got 2 of them. Then Better Now peaked at number 3, basically became everybody's breakup anthem. Then Candy Paint, which came from the Fast and Furious soundtrack, that peaked at number 34. And Ball for Me with Nicki Minaj didn't do great, but it still hit number 16 on the Billboard 100. So that's you're in a good place when 16 is not, you know,
Not your
when
best.
you're hitting
Yeah.
16 and you're like, we missed.
Yeah. You did
Damn.
pretty good. So, as you might imagine, critics were still divided on this release, but even the haters now had to admit this dude was just straight printing hits. So, Post and his album were nominated for 4 Grammys, and he performed with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he followed this by going on his Runaway tour, where he brought Swali to open for him. So, Post and Swali did the song Sunflower for the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was huge. You like that one, right?
I actually haven't seen those yet. I want to. That's the animated one with Miles Morales.
Yeah, they're super good.
I've heard they're like
but
the
the
best
music
animated.
in them are like the music in them is like really good too. So he also started accumulating quite a few face tats at this point, and his look started to evolve as well.
Yeah,
He was evolving his music and his look at the same time.
I was gonna say, he. Spoiler alert: he's probably gonna get a 5 in evolution, but the tattoos definitely have to play into that equation, right? Just
Yeah, I was thinking that too when I pasted the ratings. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a 5 for evolution for one fact that I'll say later if it's not in here.
if it's not anything. It's so funny going through the research for him, and he hits the scene with like 2 or 3 like no tattoos, dude, like a face clear of everything, no grill, nothing, and then it just the music industry evolution. But yeah, we'll talk more about that later. So Post his next album number 3, was going to be his I Can Do Everything album, and that would end up being called Hollywood's Bleeding. Yeah, Hollywood's Bleeding. Sorry. I'm choking on my spit over here, just being a human.
Very
and
cool.
Failing. I don't know why it happens, and I always just get so angry at it. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why are we trying to kill me right now? Just my body's just drowning me out of nowhere.
Imagine that's how you go.
Yeah, dude. He choked on a spit. He was all alone. No one to save him. Anyways, Hollywood's Bleeding, his 3rd album, was released on September 6th, 2019. And this is where Post really went into full genre blender, I guess you would call it. And this album debuted at number 1 as well. It's kind of going to be a theme. Stayed there for 3 weeks. It went 3 times platinum. And it got better critical reception than his previous work. It's like the critics always are like, and the fans are like, oh no, this is the shit. You don't know anything, which happens with a lot of groups. But the singles
Critics don't matter.
They don't, because they don't buy albums.
Don't matter at all.
Yeah, they don't buy albums, dude. They just shit on them. So 6 singles with this one. Wow being the first, which hit number 2. Goodbyes with Young Thug, which hit number 3. Circles was a huge hit, stayed in top 10 for 39 weeks and hit number 1. It was one of my favorite songs by his. Then Sunflower with Swali came out with a Spider-Man song, like we said, also was on this album. That hit number 1. I like that song a lot. Take What You Want with Ozzy Osbourne and Travis Scott peaked at number 8. Gave us one of the one of the wildest collabs like of all time. That song is crazy. And then Enemies with DaBaby, and that hit number 16.
So Post was still on his Runaway tour while this album was released, but that tour would come to an early end because of COVID. So Post did stay active during COVID, announcing that he was working on his next album, as well as doing some live stream performances. I remember those. So in April of 2020, Post did a stream where he performed only Nirvana songs. He was accompanied by Travis Barker on drums, Brian Lee on bass, and Nick Mack on lead guitar. So that was pretty interesting. I remember that as well.
Yeah, cool little group. So at the end of COVID, Post's 4th album was released. 12 Carat Toothache dropped June 3rd, 2022, and marked a shift. Post went more introspective, more moody. The album debuted at number 2, failed on that number 1, but didn't have the same like staying power or commercial peak as the last 2, but it was still certified platinum. So, and it came with 4 singles. One right now with The Weeknd, which hit number 6. Cooped Up with Roddy Ricch, which peaked at 12. I Like You parentheses, a happier song with Doja Cat, one of his biggest, or it was the biggest hit from the album, hitting number 3. And then Wrapped Around Your Finger was the 4th single, and that one didn't really chart that high. It was, I think it hit like a minor chart, but didn't hit the Billboard 100.
So fans on this one were split. Some missed the bangers, others loved the sad boy vibes. Either way, it showed growth and a guy wrestling with fame, mental health, and his place in pop culture. Post then embarked on the 12 Carat Tour throughout 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, so Post announced that his next album would be dropping after his tour. And before that album was released, he had a 9-song compilation album come out called The Diamond Collection that just included all 8 of his Diamond certified singles, and then released a new single along with them called Chemical. So that's pretty cool to be able to release. I just love that you have an album of like
nuts.
it's so crazy. The Diamond Collection. So insane.
They have to be. And we need to do some research on this when we do our history of the Billboard charts thing, but they have to be counting that Diamond stuff differently now because Post exists in a world where
streaming.
Not only does he exist in a streaming world, his fans, I would be surprised if one of them bought a CD. Like, it's all like young, hip, hip hop, those kind of fans, the most streaming fans. Like, it's no one that like if you're doing rock, like rock fans and country fans famously still buy CDs. It's the opposite with like pop and hip hop. Like, they just don't at all. So I would love to see how they actually count that in the streaming world, but that's something we can get into in another episode.
Real quick, I've never understood so I understand the certification of an album. Platinum album means it sold 1 million copies. Diamond 10 million. But when they apply that same concept to the singles, that's what I don't understand because I'm not going out and is that just like purchasing the song? Like just the song, basically, when they talk about
that? I think originally it was.
Okay.
But now I don't know.
That's where I was like, I mean, you're not like buying the CD with just the one song on it, but I always was like, what is their, I got to do more research, like you said, but like what constitutes like a platinum single and a diamond single versus
I think all this is going to be answered on our Billboard episode, which we'll talk about. I mean, we'll probably do that one real soon.
Yeah, we probably should. So yeah,
because there's a lot of
answered.
and there's like some fishy stuff going on. Like who's to say you can't sell the album for a penny and all of a sudden there's your million extra sales. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, you can do some crazy stuff like that. But anyway, so back to Posty. Post's 5th album, Austin, was released July 28th, 2023. Austin was Posty's most personal and stripped down project yet. No features. Love that. All guitars are played by Post himself. The album debuted at number 2 and surprised a lot of people with how musical it was. 3 singles came from this one. Chemical hit number 13. That felt like a synth pop anthem from like 1985. It's one of my favorite types of sounds. Morning, like sadness, not like early in the day, peaked at number 36 and featured one of the rawest lyrics he's ever written. And Overdrive didn't chart as high, but did become a fan favorite deep cut.
Yeah, so this album wasn't a commercial juggernaut necessarily like some of his earlier projects, but this one was more just a passion project, and fans respected the hell out of it. And it felt like Post saying, "Here's who I really am, take it or leave it." And following this album, he performed "America the Beautiful." It's Super Bowl 58.
Right? We talked about that on our show, I think, when we did our Super Bowl episode.
Yep. And then he continued to stay on top of the world when he featured on Taylor Swift's most recent album, The Tortured Poets Department. Post and Taylor collabed on the song Fortnite, which hit number 1 practically everywhere. I don't know if you looked at the charting, dude, like every country around the world. Like the list of charting,
you know what's crazy about that, though?
You
just put 2 of the biggest artists together. Like, you could release a track of Silence, it'll hit number 1.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, when I was looking through,
it's hitting number 1 before anyone hits play.
I know for sure. But that's why I was like, I was looking at that, and I was like, man, they could have done anything this song would have. Like, their 2 fan bases can have the power to make any song number 1 immediately. Like, so I thought that was kind of funny, but just looking at the charts was like I just kept scrolling and scrolling, and I was like, damn, how many countries got this song, dude? Like indigenous African tribes got this song. Like this shit
Yeah,
went
it's the only one they
everywhere.
got, so it's number
Yeah.
one by default.
Yeah, right. It's the only song they've ever heard
They're just
coming
going
out.
for records. Yeah.
Yep. Ugh.
So Post followed that by taking the world by storm with his most recent album, which is the one that really put him on my radar. I'd always heard his name, but wasn't really familiar with him until this album. And he dropped an entire country album. F1 Trillion was released on August 16th, 2024. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. It had 5 singles. I Had Some Help, featuring Morgan Wallen, reached number 1 on the Billboard 100. And that was the reason that album debuted at number 1, because they kept posting teasers on Instagram. And I mean, dude, they hyped this song for probably like 6 months. Like 6 months they were posting teasers. Every comment was eventually like, dude, just drop this damn song already. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
and then of course they dropped it and it shot it to number 1. So that worked out. Pour Me a Drink, featuring Blake Shelton, reached number 12 on the Billboard 100. Guy for That, featuring Luke Combs, reached number 17 on the Billboard 100. What Don't Belong to Me reached number 40 on the Billboard 100. And Losers, featuring Jelly Roll, reached number 25 on the Billboard 100. So what's cool about this album is they marketed the album at first as just features. So there was F1 Trillion, and every song was featuring a country artist as some sort of like high profile collab. And he went to Nashville and hired like the best Nashville session musicians that do all the country records. So it didn't sound like someone trying to do country. It sounded like a country album. And what he didn't tell anyone was, like, the day he dropped the album, he dropped a second album with it that was no features, and it was just him doing country music. And that was like 8 or so songs. And that was I can't remember what that one was called. F1 Trillion. It has some extra like deluxe type name.
Yeah, I gotcha. Extra title.
I can't remember what it was called. I'll have to look that up real quick. But it was but that, I thought that was a cool move, because I've never been a fan of collabs, really. Like, it's rare that I really like a collab. I think they're just like cheap ways to get more views. And that's that's 99% of the reason people do them. And people and fans like to think like, oh, they're friends. That's not. No, they're paying.
It's money.
Like,
It's money. Yep.
It's not like, oh, he's friends with Travis Scott. They're best friends. He's on his album. No, maybe, probably not. They just paid him and did the collab, and that was it. Maybe they are friends. That's great too, but that has nothing to do with the business part of it. F1 Trillion, Long Bed.
Long Bed. Oh, that's right. That's
Yep.
right. I remember seeing that.
And one nice thing about this is Post is a writer on every single one of these tracks. Scrolling through it,
Well, that's good.
so he's he really did country the right way, which is why it did big. Country fans will reject you so hard if you don't do it the right way. Which is kind of crazy. I guess fans of any genre really do that. But
I mean, it helps to bring in all the biggest country artists to do songs with. Like that. Like those features were smart for sure. That was a great business move for them.
But he comes from the hip hop world where features are everything.
Yeah.
So like, and that's never really been my thing. It's like I can't ever tell like what's going on. Like, it's like, well, what is your album? Like, you're on all these features, you haven't even released anything. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. So that was there's some really good stuff on that album, F1 Trillion.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like it's more common in hip hop, because you're putting
just want a verse.
You sometimes put on like a younger artist, or like you can like include somebody to help. Like the feature, like you're saying, it literally is to help like a smaller artist get bigger, usually with the help of like, being posted up with a bigger artist, or it's all money and stuff. But like, yeah. So it's interesting to see him take that concept and bring it to the country world, but he did it excellently. So
fun fact, Post Malone's keyboard player did some pianos for our newest song that just came out.
Oh, nice. Oh, did you let me listen to those keys? You let me listen to, was it some fiddle? I think you let me listen.
Oh, yeah,
to,
yeah.
That's what
awesome
you listened.
too.
Yeah, I was like, I know you let me listen to one of your musicians you hired for.
So the guy we use does, he's Morgan Wallen and Post Malone's guy. He's like one of the top guys in Nashville for piano. And he sent me the tracks, and I was just like, oh, I see why.
Immediately.
It's not anything crazy. Like, I could have played it, but just to come up with all the parts that fast that fits so perfectly into the song, that's the hard part. It's not that he's doing anything, technically complicated, which he can as well, I'm sure. But It's just that when I drag and drop, it's done. I don't have to do anything. It's
Yeah.
like this guy, every single moment was perfect.
That's awesome.
There wasn't any part where I was like, this doesn't really work here,
Well, that's
Which you get that with younger, less experienced musicians typically.
that makes sense. Is this guy? He's not younger, is he? Or
He's probably 5 to 7 years older than me, I'd say. His name's Dave Cohen. He's phenomenal.
okay, so he gets it. He's at that he's a pro's pro.
Yeah, if you go watch posts like in the studio videos, you'll see him in there at the piano.
Oh, nice.
He's got big glasses. Really, really cool guy.
All right, so I've got some. We got some stories here. Some random Post Malone stories.
Juicy stuff.
Yeah, I like this one. Post Malone is cursed. Allegedly. Yeah, you're obviously cursed when you have tons of #1 songs and tons of album
just
sales.
Can't seem to catch a break.
Just super unlucky, man.
Let alone 50 breaks in a row.
Yeah, can't catch 50
just can't
breaks.
seem to catch that 51st break.
I caught 50 in a row, and just that 50
really would have loved that 79th week at #1. Really would have loved that.
Really?
Can't seem to. Just got to figure this out.
Anyways, so he after touching a haunted Dybbuk box.
I'm gonna say Dybbuk.
Dybbuk. I like the
no
way
idea.
you attack that. Hold on, I'm gonna listen to Google. Give me a.
Oh, let's do it. All right, I'll spell it while you pull it up. Dybbuk.
UK. It immediately filled it. Let me. Pronunciation. I gotta listen to what the. Oh, I think you're right. Dybbuk. You're
nice.
Correct. He got it.
Crushed it.
Mr. International here. Dybbuk.
Dr. Countries.
Dr. Countries.
Got my doctorate in words.
So
not even English, just words.
Yeah, words. Dybbuk box. Anyways,
okay, Dybbuk box. So he touched a haunted Dybbuk box.
He had touched a haunted Dybbuk box with ghost hunting legend Zach Baggins. Zach had that TV show Ghost Hunters.
Is it Baggins or is it Bagans?
Bagans? It's Bagans, I think. I said just
because when you said Baggins, my ears perked up. Frodo Baggins.
No, that's why I just saw something similar and I'm like, Baggins? It's Bagans, so Baggins. I feel like I've heard people pronounce it Zach Baggins though, which is why I'm so sure I've heard others pronounce it. That could be wrong.
We're gonna get through this sentence, I promise.
Yeah, dude, Zach Baggins. Anyways.
Anyways, 2-minute hang-ups.
I know. After touching the box, he had a string of bad luck. A plane he was on had to make an emergency landing. His Rolls Royce got totaled. His house was robbed. Just normal Tuesday stuff. I think this all happened within like a week, too, after touching the box.
Crazy.
Like almost immediately all this stuff happened.
Yeah, that's insane. That's tough to explain stuff like that away, But the thing is, like, I can't remember who said this, but they said, the thing about coincidences, sometimes they just happen.
Yep. Yep.
That's so crazy, though. I guess that kind of comes down to belief. Okay, so he's the Bud Light king. Of course, him and Shane Gillis. He loves Bud Light so much they gave him his own branded fridge. He even got a tattoo of the logo, and that's real love, folks. Him and Shane Gillis, like when Bud Light went through all their issues, those two guys were just like, fuck it.
Yeah, they recovered.
This is what I drink. I don't care about any of this. And then Bud Light put him in an ad. I think it was on the Super Bowl. I've definitely seen it since the Super Bowl, where they're just sitting in the chairs talking about drinking.
Yeah. Did you know you can't drink during a beer commercial? What?
You know what I liked about that ad was it felt like a blooper of the actual ad.
Yeah, that does.
Because they were just looking at each other and they were kind of like trying not to laugh, and then they just started laughing, and it was like a genuine laugh, and they used all that. I was like, that feels real to me. That doesn't feel like fake,
Yeah, I think so that was the one that debuted during the Super Bowl. I think the first version.
Yeah, they had a few. I remember that.
Yeah, I think the first one was like. Was it like? It was. Oh, Shane Gillis has been doing it. He was like on a couch. They were like, if you're here, then where's our guitarist or guitar player? And he was like at the bar, like.
Oh yeah, yep.
Just drinking all kinds of beer. Yes. This is the best commercial. But
that's great.
Yeah.
So another one, he bought an actual bunker. like an actual apocalypse bunker in Utah. That's a good place to do it too. Because when you're a millionaire musician, maybe more than that, who believes in prepping, that's what you're going to do. You're going to go big or you're going to go home. You're going to get a bunker in Utah.
Also, just to escape people. Although I've heard nothing but good things from fans meeting him, so that's good.
I have also heard nothing but good things. That's good.
I was going to say
we need to have, and this might be kind of a fiery episode, but we got to do it. Is an episode on famously nice people and famously like dick people.
Oh yes, dude, that sounds like so
and
much
we can
fun.
Examine the and we can examine stories. Maybe someone gets a bad rap that's not really that bad. Things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the opposite is probably more true. Where, and this one bugs me more than anything, where people are famously really nice, but they're just huge dicks. They're just good at hiding it. Because they want that reputation of being famously nice. Great example, real quick, is Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons in the press, famously, everybody thinks he's such a dick. Nicest guy. Paul Stanley's the opposite.
Nicest guy in the public eye, and then behind the scenes,
everybody thinks he's like a darling, and he's just like a crazy, like evil guy.
Jeez.
Evil's maybe a strong word.
I was like, evil is like all the way, man. Yeah, that'd be a really fun episode. And we promise we'll shit on artists we like as well. It's just, if they deserve it. Yeah. If you're a dick, I mean, I don't care how good your music is.
I just came up with the name of the episode right now. Dicks and Darlings.
Oh, that's so good. Man, that's going to be a fun one to research. We know a couple on the top of our heads, but
yeah.
That one will be fun to like dive in.
The hard part is you're kind of going off other people's experiences, which are always colored. I mean, I have some of my own experiences that I could tell, but a lot of it's going to be just, common knowledge or people that have had other experiences that share them. But the problem is those sharing of those experiences are going to be colored by, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And
like
I mean,
the guy's telling this story like so-and-so is such a big asshole or whatever, but then he leaves out the part where he was pissed drunk trying to like hug the guy and the guy's like, stop, like it leaves all that out and just says, this guy's a dick. Like,
yeah.
Like, no, you brought this on yourself, my friend. But then if there's, 50 stories of everyone being like, yeah, I had this experience, then that's a little different.
Yeah. But at least for Post's sake, I haven't heard that bad story yet.
I've only heard good things. Yeah, he seems like really nice guy. And he likes Pokemon, so that's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, he seems real down to earth and seems to definitely appreciate a little more his fan base, I guess, than others, mainly because he is a streaming, and got big on SoundCloud. So, like, the people made him, especially if your first couple albums are, like, huge hits and the critics are like, slow your roll, everybody. And like, so just an extra appreciation for your fans. So, and I think he tries to do good on them or, by them. So, but moving along, we got another one, Guitar God in Disguise. While most know Posty for his auto-tune vocals, Post is a legit guitar player. He's played Nirvana covers live, like we talked about. They're really good. He did a full Nirvana tribute concert, and like just go back and listen to his playing. Like he's actually got some decent skill. He's no Dallas, but it's all right.
I would settle down with the God, but other than that,
yeah, all right.
Other than that, I'm sure he's fine.
I'm sure he's he can get by, and he's also a tattoo
lefty,
addict,
right? Doesn't he play lefty?
I do believe he's left. I think so. I think you are absolutely correct about that.
Problem is, you'll see pictures taken that have been flipped.
I think you can never tell.
I think he's just right-handed.
Is he?
I don't know if he's left-handed, but he plays guitar right-handed.
Oh, okay.
I did see, I can't remember what show, but one concert, he gets off stage. I think he's done this several times. And he just gave his guitar to a fan.
Oh, that's great. It's a beautiful
And it was
gift.
like it was not like a it was like a $5,000 custom Telecaster.
Oh,
here's the video. Post Malone gifts $5,000 Telecaster to an 11-year-old fan in the crowd. That's an interesting move. That is an interesting move. There's a lot going on there.
Way to just put a target on that kid.
Yeah, and like, you're really rolling the dice that the kid's going to play or not. Every parent deals with that when they get their kids into music lessons. So most parents don't want to buy like, a crazy nice instrument because they're not sure if their kid's going to be able to stick with it or if they are interested in it in 3 years because kids are changing so much at that age. So what they really, 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 really want to do today is totally different tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we're not buying the $5,000 one because I've seen this already. You know what I mean? So that's usually how it works. And then the downside is, that you don't know what family you're giving it to. They could pawn it or,
I was just about to say the parents are staring at that going, we're gonna pay off
our house
debt.
paid
Yeah,
off.
we're gonna get out of debt with that thing.
Girl's not gonna miss it. We're gonna sell it. Yeah, we'll buy a different one that looks like it with the money when we sell it.
Yep, exactly.
Anyway, back to some fun facts about Post. He's a tattoo addict. He reportedly started getting tattoos to piss off his mom. Cool. And now he's got ink all over, including the infamous "always tired" under his eyes. How about that?
Yeah, I need that one.
That'll be the only tattoo I get. Is just a crazy face tattoo.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only one. I just want to. I would want a film crew to film you walking in to see your dad with a face tattoo. I want to see in person him pull a gun on you. That's it.
What if I just have teardrop? Like, they do the teardrop, but I have it drop all the way down like to my ankles. Like just drop. Like, how many guys this guy killed?
Yeah, right.
It was one night, but it was a lot of guys.
A lot of dudes.
They pulled a pistol. I pulled a fully auto machine gun.
Jeez. Oh, man. Anyways, we'll wrap things up on old Post Malone.
Postpone my student loan.
Exactly. So Post didn't just climb the charts. He kicked the doors down, rewrote the rules. He showed the genre that it's just a suggestion, not a box. He made it cool to be vulnerable in hip hop. He brought pop punk back into the mainstream, and he proved you can wear Crocs on the red carpet and still be a superstar.
Yeah, I wish more people did that. Like, if I ever end up going to those things, I'm wearing exactly what I want to wear.
Yeah.
I'm not dressing up unless I want to, and then I'll do that. He inspired a whole new wave of artists who blend rock, rap, and pop without apology. And while critics sometimes struggle to categorize him, fans know the truth. Posty is in a lane of his own.
And so, sure, he had controversies, cultural appropriation discussions, and the occasional sloppy performance, but through it all, he remained authentic, a weird, lovable, genre-defying goofball who just wants to make good music, and he'll shotgun a beer with you.
Yeah, that cultural appropriation stuff really makes me mad. Maybe I need to do more research, but it seems to me that that's how all culture of the world moves forward is by, is eating Italian food cultural appropriation. Like, come on,
Yeah.
So, what can we say about Post Malone? He's the tattooed teddy bear of pop music, a hitmaker with the soul of a sad cowboy and the party energy of a frat house. He's evolved from a SoundCloud oddball to one of the most influential artists of the 21st century, and some would say he's only just getting started. So whether he's jamming with Ozzy, hugging fans on stage, or dropping introspective acoustic tracks, Post Malone continues to surprise us. And in a world of carbon copy artists, that's a pretty rare thing. So thanks, Posty, for that.
All right. Ratings?
Now we're going to get into our ratings here before we close out.
This will be fun.
So here on Melomaniax, we rate every artist's out of 6 categories, and each of those categories are out of 5. So we'll go through those categories now. First one is creativity. So creativity is, we define it as within their space. So now the problem with Posties doesn't really have a space. So that's going to actually bring us to the next category, which is evolution, which I think we're both going to give a 5.
Yeah.
And the reason we're going to give a 5 for evolution, the reason I was going to give a 5 is he was the first artist ever to have a number 1 hit on both the rap, country, and rock charts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he wasn't the first ever. Something like that. He was one of very few. And but anyway, there was some sort of stat with that. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. But he was the gist of it was he's in rare company having a number one hit across those three genres. It might have even been at the same time, which is absolutely insane. So creativity. I mean, I guess we got to kind of give him a 5 there too.
Yeah, I was gonna
He
say
seems to jump into anything and he does it well. So that's creative. Now we get into some slightly more subjective things. Replayability. I'm between like a 3 and a 4. We
Dude,
play.
me too.
My band
I'm
plays,
like right there.
My band plays. I had some help, so I mean, every show we play that song. So if that's replayability,
Yeah,
I'll
right.
go 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was like the 3 or 4, probably leaning 4. I've got quite a few songs of his on my playlist, and I basically never skip them. When Post comes on, it's I don't skip, so I feel like that is worth some replayability points.
Cultural impact is somewhat more objective. I think a 4 is fair here.
I'd agree with you.
He's done a lot for music, and he's definitely a cultural figure. Emotional connection. These are the deeply personal two. We end with emotional connection and the nostalgia factor. My nostalgia factor is maybe like a 2.
Yeah, I was
emotional
like,
connection, I'll do a 3.
Man, are we gonna just have the same score today?
That'd be sweet. I don't think that's ever happened.
I'm a 3, and honestly, yeah, the nostalgia he's kind of a newer artist for me, and I didn't really listen to him.
The nostalgia factor is hard to get.
I didn't,
although you could be nostalgic about COVID and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But I didn't listen to him when he hit the scene. I only recently listened to him like you did, so there is no nostalgia. It's still a newer artist in my mind.
Well, Ashton and I both coming in, I think, with a rare exact same score because of the exact same numbers in the exact same categories. I don't know if that's ever happened. We got a 3.8 out of 5 for Old Posty. So that'll be a wrap on this episode of Melomaniax. If you love the episode, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's where we post the most. If you want to hang out with other fellow music fanatics just like you, join our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Melomaniax with an X. Just $5 a month to get you into our private Discord. You'll get a shout out. You'll get a chance to pitch your own episode topic. Lots of cool stuff like that. So thanks for listening. Anything to add before we close out here, Ashton?
Nope. It's been a fun one. Not a long career yet, but I definitely expect him to continue to release.
He's a decade in now.
Yeah, I wonder what his next album's going to be. I don't think anybody can have any idea. Will it be another country album? Will he go back to hip hop? Will it be everything? Who knows, dude? I
don't know. But what's funny about the country thing is not everyone, but some people were like, "Oh, he's just going country because it's hot." And then somebody uncovered a tweet he made when it was like 2015 or 16, and the tweet just said, "When I'm turned 30, I'm making a country album, and that's it."
Oh, well, there you go.
So he's had that plan for a long time, and he actually followed through with it because that
awesome.
was right when he turned 30.
Yeah, he's from Texas, so like he grew up listening to country and was around it. So
well, and more than anything, he hired the right group of musicians. Like if you hire the right musicians, it almost doesn't even matter what you do. Like it's gonna sound like Nashville because you just hired the guys that do all the Nashville records. So that's what he did, and it's just a killer group of musicians that and everything just sounds so good. It's perfect.
Yeah, he actually has a great voice for it too.
Yeah, good singer.
I was pretty shocked by it. Yeah.
Autotune stuff, obviously for him, is more of an effect, but I think autotune's seriously misunderstood. We should talk about that more one day.
I was thinking we need to do an episode on autotune because people just
educate
have
people on autotune.
Yeah, they need to be educated.
And honestly, they should have named it something different. I mean, it's properly named, I guess, but it's not what people think. So, we should do. Yeah, it'd be good to do some demos and stuff too, so people could see what it actually does.
Yeah, I was gonna say you almost need to visually see it to. I'm sure some people are gonna need to visually see it to like understand. It's like a whole science in a way, but we'll definitely we'll add that.
It sounds like a great
episode list.
Episode
that we need to.
And we're bringing video to you guys soon, so we'll be working on that as well.
Oh, that will be a great one for then. Okay.
Awesome. Well, that'll be it. We'll see you guys next week.